Her voice could hush the world. Her gaze held secrets. She was an icon no one dared tame. But in 2008, Eartha Kitt passed away quietly, right in the middle of Christmas. No press conference, no grand funeral, just a brief news blip. In an empty house in Connecticut, she left this world with silver hair and a lullaby no one knew the words to. On her table sat a cold cup of tea, an unfinished score, and a diary missing its first page. Nobody from Hollywood showed up, not a word from the White House, where she once stood tall against war. All that's left is a question. What really happened to Eartha Kitt? A woman who kissed a president's cheek, then vanished from America like a shadow. Stay with me, because parts of her story, they've never been fully told. Chapter 1, The Child Without a Name, Wanted by No One. My name is Eartha Mae Keith, or so they told me, but I don't recall who first called me that. That little girl, born on a day no one bothered to record. Her true birth year? Unclear. 1927 or 1928. It wasn't until 2001 that Eartha finally saw her birth certificate. She opened it, staring at the black ink where her father's name should have been, as if she could peer through it to see a face she'd never known. Then she cried, not for the name, for the erasure. Her mother, Annie Mae, was a poor black woman in South Carolina. Some said she was raped, that Eartha's father was a white man of status. Others whispered he paid to make the story disappear. Eartha was given away as a child, too light-skinned. Annie Mae sent her to a relative named Rosa in a poor rural area, to a leaky wooden house. Eartha slept on a dirt floor, no bed, no blanket. When hungry, she ate clay from the ground. But Eartha had one thing, a voice. As a child, she'd hum a Spanish lullaby. No one taught her. No one knew where she learned it. Each time she sang, it felt warm, like someone had once held her. But when she looked up, no one was there. People fell silent when she sang. Rosa, who often beat her, once stopped mid-strike, said nothing, just walked away. When Eartha was 8, Rosa remarried. Her new husband didn't want a mixed-race child in the house. Eartha was sent away. No one called her by name. They just said, that girl. She walked miles down dirt roads to a distant farm. A relative took her in. But in exchange, she worked for free. Up at 5, hauling water, herding cows, pulling weeds. If she messed up, even spilling a bowl, she got a beating, then another. No one asked why. No one cared. At night, she lay on rotten straw, stomach empty, body bruised. But sometimes, she still sang, softly, steadily, as if music was the one thing no one could take. One day, she heard her mother had died. No one told her directly. No one took her to the funeral. When she asked, the adult said, "You don't need to know." Can you imagine? A child who doesn't know her birthday, doesn't know her father, can't ask, can't cry. Even her name feels temporary. Later, as a star, Eartha signed her name slowly, as if asking herself, is this name really mine? She once whispered, I spent my whole life trying to be called by my real name. But what if even that name was a lie? What if her very existence was something someone tried to bury? Who was Eartha Kitt, and why wasn't she allowed to know? Chapter 2. Orson Welles loved her, but didn't dare keep her. Paris, 1950. A small stage by the Seine River. Curtains closed. The audience stood, clapping. But one man didn't clap, just sat, spellbound. Orson Welles. After the show, he walked backstage, looked straight at the young woman, wiping sweat behind the curtain, and said, "She is the most exciting woman in the world." That woman was Eartha Kitt. Within weeks, he cast her as Helen of Troy in Dr. Faustus, a role never given to a person of color. But Welles didn't care about norms. He saw something in Eartha, something indefinable. Eartha didn't just act. She breathed the character. And when she sang, not a song, but a call, the room held its breath. Her voice was strange, soothing, yet awakening. As a child, she'd hummed that Spanish lullaby. No one taught her. No one in her house spoke Spanish. Each time she sang, it felt like someone was holding her. But when she looked up, no one was there. People asked where she learned it. She'd shrug. Some said it was like someone whispered it to her, from a place unseen. Wells loved her, no one doubted it, but they were never lovers. Eartha only said, he loved me, but he didn't dare keep me. Maybe because of her skin, maybe because of prejudice, or because Eartha never belonged to anyone. In Europe, she shone, sang in multiple languages, performed in theaters. But in America, she was still an outsider. She once said, I'm too white to be black, too black to be white, and too free to be held. Eartha befriended James Dean, another lonely soul. They'd sit on rooftops, silent, just listening to the city breathe. Then one night in Rome, as Eartha wrote a letter, she felt a chill. A strange sound, like a car crash, then silence. The next morning, she learned Dean died in a car accident. She said, I felt it, like he said goodbye to me. Some doubted her, but she never changed her story. To her, it was true, a connection beyond this world, like her father, the man who never appeared. Some whispered he paid to have his name erased from records. A powerful man, a child not meant to exist, a name wiped clean. Sometimes Eartha would start telling these stories, then stop. She'd look in a mirror, as if asking, who am I? Don't you see? From birth, she tied her name to a lullaby no one remembered. Loved, but not kept. Seen, but not called by her true name. Did Eartha really sense James Dean's death? Or was it her way of naming her own losses? Chapter 3. The most famous Catwoman who lost herself. Los Angeles, 1967. In a cramped Batman makeup room, Eartha Kitt slipped into a tight black leather suit. Catwoman. Neon lights buzzed. The air smelled of hairspray, sweat, and lipstick. A makeup artist adjusted her cat ears. Eartha stared at herself in the mirror. Sharp eyes, lips curled, but not in a smile. In the reflection, she looked different. But from whom? From Eartha? Or from yesterday's self? Her Catwoman role launched her to stardom. America couldn't stop talking. Her gaze, her stride, the way she hissed each word. It wasn't acting. It was almost a threat wrapped in charm. A journalist wrote, she doesn't need to touch you, just walks in, and you want to run or surrender. But at the same time, Eartha felt lost. Her Catwoman was unique. Not white, not gentle, not tame. A PR person once said, we don't know how to market her. She doesn't fit the mold. Eartha understood. Hollywood didn't want a wildcat. They wanted a house cat. She started being called names that weren't hers. Exotic, uncontrollable, dangerous. Her real name was Eartha. But now she was Catwoman. A problem. A thing no one knows what to do with. Sometimes, in the dead of night, she'd wake in darkness, still feeling those cat ears, unsure if she was acting or living. One day on set, Eartha started humming mid-scene, unscripted, pure instinct. The director didn't stop filming. The lights kept rolling. Eartha sang, no words, just tones. Each note sliced through politeness like a thin blade. Afterward, the director sighed, saying, I don't know what you did, but it might be the realest thing today. She kept resisting, not with slogans, but with music. She chose songs no one dared sing, changed lyrics mid-performance, hid messages and pauses. One song got banned from radio. One line was cut from a script. Once she tried to speak, but the mic went dead. No one brought it up. Eartha didn't forget. She once said, if they won't let me be good, I'll be the opposite, and I'll make it beautiful. An internal memo from a TV producer read, Kitt makes everyone nervous. She doesn't fit. Eartha didn't need to fit, but she knew. No one holds a spot long for someone who makes them uneasy, don't you see? When no one called her by her name, Eartha used her voice to claim it. When the world wouldn't listen, she sang. Sang like it was the only way to survive. But in that voice, something caught. Like she was holding a secret. Something she couldn't sing aloud. Who wanted Eartha Kitt to stay silent? And silent about what? Chapter 4. One sentence that got her banished from America. January 18th, 1968. The East Room, White House. A luncheon hosted by First Lady Lady Bird Johnson. White tablecloths. Porcelain plates neatly arranged. Spoons clinked against glasses in rhythm. It was billed as an artist meet and greet, but everyone knew it was a place to smile and nod. Eartha Kitt sat quietly among gilded chairs. Black velvet dress, white gloves. She said nothing through the meal. But when Lady Bird asked about crime, about rebellious youth, Eartha stood. Her voice was calm. Her eyes didn't lower. "Ladies," she said, "you send the best young men to war, and they come back with guns in their hearts. No wonder they rebel." The room froze. Lady Bird stiffened, eyes welling. A waiter dropped a plate. Eartha stood firm, unflinching. The shattered plate stayed on the floor. No one spoke, as if the room was iced over. Within hours, news outlets branded Eartha a party crasher. Another paper wrote, "Catwoman snarls at the White House." Her agent called, 3 shows canceled. A week later, her record label dropped her. A month later, Eartha had no gigs left in America. No apology came, just a file. Compiled by the CIA, 20 pages thick. One line read, "Ms. Kitt is a dangerous figure, prone to violent nymphomania. No evidence, no questions, no lawyer." Another section claimed she'd met individuals with radical ideologies. No list was released. But an insider source suggested one name that alarmed them was someone who'd shaken hands with the president in 1965. The file called her unfit for the spirit of American womanhood, emotionally unstable. One section was redacted. No one knows what it said. An anti-war song got banned from radio. An article vanished from archives. An interview tape went missing. Once, she arrived at a TV station only to hear, "Your name's no longer on the schedule." A friend recalled Eartha saying she'd planned to say one more sentence at that luncheon. A sentence that could have made a man tremble while holding a phone, but the mic cut out. She never repeated it. In an old diary, she wrote one line, "I should have mentioned that name." After the incident, Eartha left America. No press conference, no farewell. Just a note in her tour book. Gone indefinitely. She went to Europe, sang in small cafes in Switzerland, Holland. No stage, no lights, just a piano and a voice. Low, slow, choked. Sometimes, mid-song, she'd stare at the glass in front of her, seeing a woman singing, but unsure if it was still her. She didn't bring up the White House. When asked, she'd smile. "I didn't say anything wrong. I just didn't know who I was talking to." Can you imagine? An artist, a mother, a child once cast out for her skin, now smeared by her government for one sentence. Eartha once whispered, "I didn't lose my fame. They just erased my name from a list they wrote themselves." Did Eartha touch a nerve of power that even a Catwoman couldn't outrun? Chapter 5. The Cost of Her Glory Days. In the late 1970s, Eartha Kitt vanished from America. No announcement, no goodbye, no press release. Just a brief note in her tour book. Gone. Indefinitely. No one knew where she was. The press didn't report. Those who once booked her got no calls. A star who'd graced national TV, who'd silenced the White House, suddenly off America's cultural map. Some said she went to Liberia first, then Ghana, then Switzerland, Holland, and finally France. No clear itinerary, no companions, no known destination. That trip, a close friend said, wasn't a tour. It was an escape. In Liberia, a neighbor recalled, some nights, she sat on her porch in the forest, playing alone. Every 3 minutes, she'd hit the same chord, over and over, like summoning a spirit. In Ghana, she didn't sing into a mic. She whispered, as if afraid someone was listening. At an old Swiss cafe, a waiter said, she sat at the same corner table every night, never turned her back to the door. If anyone mentioned the White House, she went quiet, sipped her wine, and changed the subject. Years later, when asked about that time, Eartha said, I had to go. My body stayed, but my soul was driven out of America. Something in her broke, not loudly, not crying out, but quietly, like a thin string snapping mid-song. One night in Amsterdam, Eartha took the stage in a black dress and velvet gloves. No introduction, no greeting. She sat, took a deep breath, and sang. The song had no name, no lyrics, just a trembling sound. Many in the audience cried, but no one knew why. A ticket stub from a viewer read, "I felt like I heard a soul sing, not a person." Nights like that repeated. Then Eartha vanished again. No one saw her off. No one called. "Some say at a small hotel in Montreux," she told a maid. "If anyone asks where I'm from, don't answer. I'm not from anywhere." Sometimes, mid-song, she'd look at her wine glass, seeing a woman singing, but unsure if it was still her. She didn't use her real name to book rooms, didn't sign with her familiar signature. Once, when a clerk asked her name for a bill, she said, "Write anything, just not Eartha Kitt." Something in her didn't want to return, but didn't want to be remembered either. You could call it running, or voluntary exile, or maybe she was searching for something no one ever dared ask her about. What was truly taken from her at that luncheon? Was Eartha Kitt fleeing the world, or herself? Chapter 6. She died with a lullaby, known to no one. In her final years, Eartha Kitt lived in an old house in Connecticut. Not too big, no fence. Each morning, she brewed her own tea. Each night, she turned off her own lights. No assistants, no paparazzi, no comeback invitations. The one constant was her daughter, Kit McDonald. They'd sit by the fireplace, flipping through old photos. One day, Kit asked, "What does your name mean?" Eartha paused, then said softly, "It's what no one wants to mention." In 2001, Eartha was given her birth certificate. Her hands shook as she opened it. Her name, Eartha Mae Keith, was there, but her father's name was a long black streak of ink. She stared at it, as if she could see through the erasure. No tears, just a sigh. Her whole life, she didn't know her father. Some said he was a white doctor. Others, a plantation owner's son. A friend said Eartha once got an empty envelope with a black and white photo and a note. "Stop looking." She never spoke of it again. In her later years, Eartha grew quieter. On rare performances, she chose nameless songs. Low-key, slow tempo. One night, singing "Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child," she looked out at the audience, not searching for family, but for herself. In her diary, she wrote, "I had fame, but I never had the right to exist as a person." On her final night, Eartha lay on a couch, wrapped in a thin blanket. Her daughter said her fingers still twitched, like conducting a song no one heard. As she took her last breath, her eyes stayed open, gazing out the window. Not panicked, but not at peace. Can you imagine? A woman who spent her life fighting to be called by her name. Still, in the end, just a name erased from records. Was Eartha Kitt's greatest pain not rejection, but never being acknowledged? Conclusion. Even in the end, no one knew who first called her name. Eartha Kitt passed away on Christmas night, 2008. No public funeral, no official eulogy, just one request. Don't let anyone else tell my story. But how can you tell it if she was never allowed to finish? She was Catwoman, the most exciting woman in the world, a CIA target, a cultural icon with a sultry voice, and a misfit in America. A life with too many labels, none truly hers. From a nameless child to an artist without a homeland. From the woman who silenced the White House to one erased from broadcast schedules. Remember? When the mic cut out at that luncheon. When she changed a song's lyrics and got banned. When she sang wordlessly in Zurich. When she looked at her wine glass and wasn't sure who stared back. That wasn't silence. It was a call. Thin, small, through the glass of a society covering its ears. After her death, journalists dug up her CIA file. 3 pages stayed redacted. A director who'd cut her role quietly sent an apology letter. One late night, her song played on the radio. No introduction, no caption. Today, Eartha is honored with street names, statues, textbook mentions. But on her birth certificate, Her father's name remains erased. That black ink no one's dared rewrite. So, maybe her story isn't over. What do you think? Was Eartha Kitt a warrior? Or just a whisper no one heard? Was she celebrated? Or only partly forgiven? If a name can be erased from a birth certificate, from TV, from history, what's left of us?